Now I'm going to look at a method known as the 6-step method. You'll sometimes see the similar method, the 5-step method, but all they've done is they've basically brought 2 steps into one. So it's the same as the 5-step method, really. So what is the 6-step method? What's step 1? Well, step 1 is identify your hazards. Step 2, decide who may be in danger and note their locations. Step 3, evaluate the risks and adequacy of your control measures. Step 4, record significant findings and actions necessary. Step 5, prepare action plans to carry out any necessary improvements. And step 6, review. That's the different steps method. Now, the purpose of the assessment is to identify where fires may start, who's at risk, and you've got to reduce it where possible. What do you need to consider then? You've got to consider the following. You've got to consider all your ignition sources, combustible materials, oxidising agents, your storage and ignition sources. Now, those people who are at significant risk, you've got to consider as well. People with disabilities, for example, people who are working alone, or people working in high-risk areas. You've also got to consider structural features that could promote fire spread. For example, cavities in the building, open stairways. You've got internal linings. You've got issues with inadequate fire stopping. You've got to make sure it's been monitored during maintenance and refurb, because obviously when you do maintenance and refurb, that's when your risk changes. And you've got to mitigate measures in place for persons in and around. Don't forget relevant persons at anyone in the immediate vicinity of your building. You've got to consider your fire prevention policies. You've got to look at fire detection and warning. Have you got enough detection? Can alarms be heard throughout the workplace? You've also got to consider means of escape. Have you got adequate means of escape? Have you got adequate means for fighting fire? What level of fire safety training has been given to employees? Well, this depends on the risk. Low level training. High level training. Have you got an emergency plan in place? Now, I'm going to go through all of these issues on the next few steps, the next few modules. To start with, what do you need to do? Well, you need to start off with your risk assessment. Get a record of the premises to be assessed. Put some details on. This is sort of information you'd normally require, as you can see here. You'd need the name and address of the premises. What's the use of the premises? This is key. Is it for sleeping risk? Is it for high-risk profile, high-risk processes? You've also got to put down the owner, the employer, the person in control. This is the responsible person. Telephone number, date of the risk assessment, date review. When are you going to review this risk assessment? Then on here you're putting the name and relevant details of the person who carried out the fire risk assessment. Your detail, who did it? And then details of any previous fires at the premises. This is key. If there's having loads of fire, when was the fire? What happened? What was done about it afterwards? Then you should really make a general statement of policy. This is your fire policy. For example, here it says, it is the policy of the employer company to protect all persons, including employees, customers, contractors, and members of the public from potential injury and damage to their health, which might arise from work activities. In other words, give a general fire statement policy of your company.